promise can change the wave of emotions of millions of people, and this is exactly what happened when Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, made a sweet promise to Jimin. Why can a single short sentence from an idol pierce through the walls of fans' hearts, even making the army around the world shed tears? This question is not only about the dynamics of the personal relationship between two members of a global group, but also opens space for analysis of the emotional, symbolic, and psychological meaning of the statement. The promise conveyed by Jungkook was not mere empty words. In the tradition of public communication, especially in the sphere of celebrities, every utterance carries a resonance far beyond the speaker's original intent. His sweet promise to Jimin gave rise to layered interpretations as an expression of friendship, a form of emotional support, and a statement that reinforced BTS's internal solidarity. However, the most interesting part is how the promise was received by the ARMY, the global fan base of BTS, who interpreted it as a reflection of sincerity, loyalty, and an emotional bond rarely found in the modern entertainment industry. From the perspective of social psychology, this phenomenon can be explained through the mechanism of parasocial relationship, namely the emotional bond formed between the public and the figure they admire. When Jungkook promised Jimin, ARMY did not merely witness the interaction between two friends, but felt the warmth of the relationship as if they themselves were part of it. This effect triggered an emotional explosion, laughter, awe, and ultimately tears. The promise became a kind of confirmation that the bonds between BTS members are truly genuine, and the fans joined in celebrating that sincerity culturally. BTS has long been known as a group that presents narratives of intimacy and vulnerability in their friendships. Jungkook, often perceived as the energetic younger brother, made a sweet promise to Jimin, who is frequently seen as a caring and gentle figure. This constellation of roles added emotional weight to their interaction. The promise felt like a symbol of commitment to protect each other, not only on stage, but also in their personal lives. The reaction of ARMY did not come sporadically, but massively and in a structured manner. Social media was filled with video clips, screenshots, and personal interpretations about the meaning of the promise. Specific hashtags immediately trended on global platforms, showing that one small moment could become the center of world conversation. Interestingly, most fan comments did not only highlight the content of the promise, but also their own feelings that were carried away by the interaction. This is what made the tears flow, the intense sense of connection and belonging to the friendship of their idols. If analyzed from the perspective of mass communication, Jungkook's promise to Jimin functioned as a narrative symbol. It was not merely a spontaneous utterance, but part of the ongoing story that BTS continues to build, a story of togetherness, sincerity, and collective struggle. This story is rooted in the memory of fans, strengthening loyalty, and at the same time affirming BTS's position as a global cultural phenomenon that is more than just a boy band. The promise added a new layer to ARMY's collective memory archive, which will be remembered and quoted again and again in the future. From the emotional side, this phenomenon also shows that tears are not a sign of weakness, but rather a form of deep involvement. ARMY cried not only because they were touched by Jungkook's words, but also because they found a reflection of the values they uphold: friendship, loyalty, and the courage to express feelings openly. These values, which are often ignored in daily life, appeared clearly in the simple interaction between Jungkook and Jimin. Furthermore, this analysis shows how celebrities are able to create sacred moments in the digital public space. Jungkook's promise to Jimin, though simple, became a kind of collective ritual in which millions of people united in the same feeling. In sociological terms, this reflects the integrative function of popular culture, connecting individuals separated geographically into a single global emotional community. In other words, ARMY's tears were not merely a spontaneous reaction, but a manifestation of the social cohesion created by BTS. Will that sweet promise truly be fulfilled? This question may not be very relevant because the true strength of the promise lies not in its realization, but in its resonance. What remains memorable is not the outcome, but the moment when Jungkook said it and how ARMY absorbed and interpreted that moment. This is where the power of celebrity communication lies, creating meaning that transcends its original context, turning into a collective narrative that continues to live on in the end. This breaking news shows how a single sweet promise can shake the emotional world globally. Jungkook and Jimin not only demonstrated their personal intimacy, but also provided space for millions of ARMY to feel close, connected, and appreciated. The falling tears were not a sign of fans' weakness, but proof that music, friendship, and simple words still hold extraordinary power to touch the deepest side of humanity. Yet, what is even more surprising is how this sweet promise reveals a new reality in the relationship between celebrities and their fans. Amid the flood of information and fast-paced entertainment content, simple moments like this last much longer in the public's memory. Why? Because it touches the deepest layers of human experience, the need for belonging, warmth, and recognition. Jungkook unconsciously showed how a single sentence can serve as an emotional bridge between the dazzling world of the stage and the private lives of fans often filled with solitude. In the academic sphere, this phenomenon can be positioned as a real example of emotional contagion. Research shows that the expression of feelings, whether through words or actions, can spread quickly in large communities. When Jungkook promised Jimin, that emotional expression did not stop between the two of them. ARMY, as witnesses, captured the emotional vibrations and reproduced them in the form of tears, laughter, even expressions of gratitude. This is the form of emotional contagion that explains why the global reaction was so intense. In addition, from the perspective of popular culture, the sweet promise became evidence of how BTS has been able to maintain their identity amidst the dominance of commercialization in the music industry. Many idol groups collapse due to fragile internal relationships or interactions perceived as artificial. However, when Jungkook conveyed his promise to Jimin, the public saw it as a sign that friendship and intimacy within BTS remain authentic. This impression of authenticity strengthened fans' trust, even making it the foundation of loyalty that is difficult for other groups to match. The emotional reaction of ARMY also revealed the unique side of this global community. They are not merely passive consumers of music, but active actors who shape narratives and expand the meaning of every interaction. Their tears, their posts on social media, and their long analyses in online forums are part of a shared production of meaning. In communication theory, this phenomenon is called co-creation of meaning, where fans not only receive messages from the artist, but also help construct new meanings that may even surpass the artist's original intent, not stopping there. Jungkook's promise to Jimin also carried a cultural political dimension.